Welcome back.
Music,
this is a
we're
hot
talking about
seat,
music,
and this
right?
is actually Ron Klopferson, but Cassandra Harris Lockwood is here. We're talking today about how, well, today's Martin Luther King Day, so we're talking about what it was like to grow up as someone who was black in kind of a
Black and female.
black and female in a definitely a majority white neighborhood in
And fairly bright, brighter than most.
Exactly.
More talented
During
than most, and dealing
the time
with the
of
time
Martin
when
Luther
suppression.
King's, right. So you were telling us about how music during that time, and it was a difficult time because I mean there were fire hoses and they were sicking dogs on people.
And it was wicked time. I remember being in the 7th grade and hearing that John F. Kennedy had been assassinated.
Really?
I didn't believe it. I blew it off. I said, "Yeah, right. Yeah, let him die."
Yeah.
But it was real.
It was real. Yeah.
It was real, and man, it was set off. Well, Medgar Evers, I mean, there were all these brutal slaves.
A lot of assassinations.
Yeah. That didn't. I mean, that didn't precede us in the 50s, except for the slaying of black men.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that was kind of, I don't want to say commonplace, but it happened.
Well, I mean, strange fruit. That's about lynching.
Yeah,
was so
absolutely.
Back then. Right.
So, but anyway, so back to the music.
So let's set the stage here. So it's the 1960s. We're talking about kind of the time period of you when you're kind of graduating from high school.
No. I want to go back earlier than
Okay.
that. This is because that's what.
So we talking about
by the time I
50s or
graduated,
60s?
when I graduated was 69, and he got killed in 68.
I just want to make sure we have time for that.
We got 15 minutes.
Yeah. Because I can't see the clock because you're facing the clock.
Okay, all right. Well, you can turn
Even
it
though
around.
I'm sort of the host, you're the one who can see the time.
But I just want to talk about the music because the music was compelling, and again,
and inspiring,
and inspiring, and the folk songs were big. Folk songs and spirituals kind of were the rhythm and the flow for these marches.
Yeah.
Because just like the fife and drum, taking you into battle.
Right.
These songs took us into these hard times.
Like
and
disco for my people.
Yes. But the other thing I want to say too, though, is there were concomitant marches in different places. So when there was the big mall gathering in Washington D.C., there was a gathering at Westminster Church. It was the stone. The one that's now.
The Warming Center.
Yes. Morrow.
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian.
Yeah. Is it Presbyterian?
Okay.
Anyways, yeah.
It was there.
And
there was a huge.
Did you go?
I didn't go.
Okay.
But I.
What did you go to?
But wait a minute. I was 11 years old or something like. I was 11 years old because maybe I was 12 because my mother and father went. And there's a picture of them in the huge, there was this big panoramic shot, and my father was holding my baby sister, and my mom was there. But that was
Why didn't you go?
I was 11 years old,
so
my mother went, because they were the activists. My parents
were
paved
they
the way.
concerned for your safety?
No.
Okay.
It was a grown-up thing that you did. If you got on a bus and went to Washington, you were a college student. You were in high school.
But to go to Plant Street.
No, but it wasn't like that.
Okay.
This was an adult activity.
Yeah. Right.
Kids weren't there.
So what did you do? Like, when did you get it?
I watched on television.
Oh, okay.
And it churned me up, and I listened, and I watched and I listened and I learned and I grew, and that music that was there was something I could do.
Yeah.
And there were these women folk singers like Joan Baez, Buffy St. Marie, Odetta. They played guitars and sang these songs. And I said, I can do that. This is something I can do. And you do it. You did it with passion, and you did it with meaning, and it had significance. And it was something you didn't have to wait for the boys to do. You could pick up a guitar and do it. So that was really, and that was part of the movement. So if you could play the guitar and you could walk along when you got to a certain age, you were kind of with the movement. You
were the drummer boy.
Yeah. But then when like Bob Dylan started coming out, the times they are a-changing, and how many miles must a man walk down? How many roads? There were all of these inspirational, wonderful, and popular songs that you wanted to plug into.
Yes.
So it was a real draw. It was a real attraction. to be that dissident, to be that stand against injustice.
Right.
So it was romantic.
Yeah.
It was romantic, and it was
exciting.
It was exciting,
sure. Yeah.
and it was new. It was modern,
right.
And we were breaking
it's a
away.
Fight for your freedom,
and we were breaking away from these old ways of doing things,
like we're still doing now.
Like we're still doing now. But this was
significant.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so it was civil rights. And then, this creepy war starts coming along, and you feel it. There's all these people, and you're watching the news again. You've got, babies being blown up and running around, burning up, and horrible things going on. And Muhammad Ali saying, "I ain't going to fight them people. Those little yellow people didn't do nothing to me. Look what y'all doing to me here." They put him in jail. So, there were these things.
What impact did that have on you? That's what I'm trying to say. Because, I
was so proud. I was proud of Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
That there was this black man with dignity and could articulate these things he was down there. We weren't down. I wasn't down there. I wasn't having any problem at going to Woolworths. I could go and buy a parakeet and sit down and eat my hamburger.
Could you get a job there?
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, see, these weren't.
But the white guy couldn't go on a date with you, so you did experience.
Right. Well, he was a kid.
Yeah. But
by the time I got to be a high school student, my
last
year, my senior year, there was a young man who came to town, a white boy who had the courage to take me out, and he was my first real big boyfriend.
Apparently.
Well, he had gone to college. He was coming back. He was a little older.
Yeah.
But no, I was proud of Martin Luther King.
Right.
And again, he could articulate these things. And even today, you see so few images of black men in positions of dignity, power, and authority that are given respect. And you see it. I was just saying to my husband the other day, looking at these football, looking at the football commentators. 20 years ago, you didn't see that. You didn't see that. We take it as commonplace and take it as just a given. No, there were so many battles that have been waged to get to that point. Women, Barbara Walters was a breakthrough.
She was, yeah.
So we're talking. So we're talking civil rights, we're talking, anti-war, we're talking women's rights, and then comes Black Power. Because, we were proud and grateful for Martin Luther King to do the things we do. But when we're continually being hit over the head with clubs and have dogs sicked on us and trampled and knocked around and jailed and killed and burned up, what? At what point do you turn around and smack somebody down?
Even though that wasn't happening to you personally, you lived in a country where that went on.
Yes.
And where that was
I was subject to it
all the time. So the culture was.
It took a while for me to get beat up by a cop, and I got beat up by a cop.
When did that happen?
Well, I was in college. Yeah. So you're subject to these things, and you grow up knowing that there's this thing lurking, this ugly thing lurking, waiting to take you down at every moment. These immigrants. Wait! I want to say this: the brown-skinned Latinos that come in and maybe even look, even Africans, brown-skinned black people that come in, they don't have that generational terror that we were steeped in. African Americans are still subject to some of the worst healthcare parameters, job and play, all kind. The numbers stink. They absolutely stink, and obviously, I don't want to take anything away from immigrants to come in and have the benefit of the progress that we've made, but I don't want the indigenous black and brown and red people to be left behind.
To be forgotten.
Okay?
Right.
Because, not for nothing.
You did all the hard work to.
Yeah, we all did. We all did. I'm not taking it,
No, I meant you're the generational.
Yes. And, and I'm not even at the point of that spear. I'm not at the point of that spear. People like Robbie Dancy are at the point of that spear. People like, Carol Crooms were at the point of that spear. And
those
they're
are
men.
local people.
Yeah. And they're men, they're out there doing it too. My father, my mother, for God's sake, stepping up and being on boards of directors of agencies that never had black people on them. You know, these are breakthrough.
And I think most agencies probably still don't have black people on their board of directors.
Probably don't.
Any more than they would have a gay person on the board of
Right.
directors. It's the ones around here.
Right. So anyway, I just want to make that point. The distinction, you know, for you know, it's not all the same.
Right.
You know,
right.
for somebody from Ghana or Gambia or Kenya.
It depends when you came over here and what you had to live through. You know, I mean that's right. It's people, yeah.
But anyway,
well, I think it's good to raise awareness of that because all of these civil rights that we've gained over the last 100 years are threatened. You know, so
absolutely
people do have to be aware. And that's I think one of the important things of doing a show like this is you have these. I mean, there's this hate group, Moms for Liberty.
Yep.
We've talked about that wants to not just erase people who are LGBTQ, but they want to erase Black people and Black history too. So it's
good luck with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, good luck with erasing me too.
Yeah,
so
right.
They certainly tried. You know?
Well, that's the
she
thing too.
She took her best, her nastiest shot.
It took a while for me to really get it together, but in terms of who I am in a body on this continent, but I have African and I have Native American in me, and so for and I look around the planet and I'm the only place. This is the only place where I could have sprouted.
Yeah, right.
You know, so for any white guy to come in and kind of tell me that you ain't got no place. Well, I'm sorry, my people were here before yours even came. So back it up, dude.
Right.
You know, and let's bring the competition.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't even get a fair shot. I mean, I got a better shot than most, but I had.
Speaking of which,
yes.
I mean, what was the impact of Martin Luther King's assassination? What did that feel like? Yeah, how did you find out? How did it spread through your community, the news?
Well, it was bam. It was like, it was almost immediate. I mean, like, John F. Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King. It was just.
There were so many. Right?
It was unbelievable that this level of violence and lawlessness and hatred.
Right.
The hatred that would spawn it. And then to think, his most, I don't know if his most famous speech, I've been to the mountaintop, was like 24 hours before he was assassinated. I just finished listening to it. And I'm glad I
downstairs or listening.
Yeah.
And
I was listening to it when I came up.
Yeah.
But, that, and he was, I was going to say he was no saint, but he was a saint. He was a saint.
Right. I mean, he was a human with flaws.
Yeah, but so are all saints.
So are we all.
So are all saints, But, there's saints that did stuff and then they, whatever. But I'm just saying, he was a remarkable man and a precious man and such a value and a light and an inspiration for us.
What do you think it was about him that made him rise to the top? And
one of the things, I was thinking about that because you asked me to do this, and I'm glad you did. And thank you very much.
We should do this more often, actually.
Okay, all right.
I'm a good interviewer.
I guess you are.
I can host the show.
You're right. Okay, you're right. That's why. That's right. But his name was King.
Yeah.
His name wasn't Black. His name wasn't.
That's something.
More. It wasn't this or that. His name was King.
Right.
He was our king.
And he had the charisma.
And he had the training. He had the education and the experience and the diplomacy and the character and the bravery. He was a brave man. Yeah. When you go, when people tried to stab him, kill him, blow him up, run him over.
There were actually other assassination attempts.
Yeah.
Right.
So, there was a lot. His character, his fortitude, his brilliance, his compassion. They talk all kinds of stuff about him. I mean, I know they used to. But he is a human being who came on.
Well,
to the scene. He had a plan. He was charged. He had a mission, and he carried it out.
Right. He changed the world for better. He was all those things.
Yeah,
and he also had.
I don't want to leave out Malcolm X either. I didn't mention Malcolm X.
How did Malcolm X backfire?
Well, Malcolm X. Okay, I want to say Malcolm X and the Black Panthers.
So there were
because see, media controlled.
For a second here to make sure I understand. So there were two different approaches going on.
At least
the Martin Luther King approach was the non-violent approach.
Okay, because
Martin
Luther King was not violent. And then you had Malcolm X, and it was like, meet him where they fight back.
Yeah.
But he had the Muslim thing, okay? Yeah. He had the spiritual religious thing. But then the Black Panthers, they were, this group from, out west, and
I thought Malcolm X was the Black Panthers. Oh, okay.
No,
Oh,
but the
that-
thing
that-
about too,
that I
the thing
asked.
about too, the love, peace, the hippie
Yeah.
thing, because I was a hippie.
Yeah.
That was from California. So a lot of what we got from California was, I'll say, anecdotal. But we wanted it, we wanted to do those marches, those peace marches.
Yeah,
So we,
right.
and nonviolent civil disobedience.
Right.
But the point that I want to make is that the Black Panthers were described as, they made us afraid of them. Okay, the way that the media portrayed them was, whoa, those are some
Right, I was
scary
gonna
guys.
say-
You don't want to be a Black Panther.
It was kind of like the white dominating media at the time that made you
Absolutely.
afraid of them. Right.
Absolutely, and then
Because they
there was a
control the
company-
narrative. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we didn't get that. So we were kind of scared of them. And then Angela Davis was in there too. And my sister, my father, my light skinned father, and my other sister was not that light skinned, but they got pulled over because she was on the run at one point.
Wow.
And my father was driving around with my sister in a truck, big white pickup truck, 3/4 ton pickup truck, pulled up and asked if she was Angela Davis. Because they were like, man, there was death on them Black Panthers and
Wow.
and those Black revolutionaries.
Yeah.
Black revolutionaries, see?
Yeah.
And that was a scary, scary concept. If you could get power,
Mhm.
oh, you were to be feared.
But do you think kind of that really a movement kind of does need both? Like in the 80s, compared to myself, we had ACT UP. And
Yes,
we
yes,
had movements
yes.
that were like in your face and aggressive, like we're here, we're queer, get
And we
used
ain't
to it.
going anywhere.
And
Yeah.
we needed that as well as people who could
I
bring it
totally
forward,
agree.
Like the
I
Ellen
totally agree.
DeGeneres and stuff. So.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So do you think Malcolm X was just as crucial to the movement as Martin Luther King?
Without a doubt, because Malcolm X actually provided an alternative narrative to what it was to be a black to black culture.
Mhm.
Okay, to black culture,
Yeah.
because the lawlessness and you can't imagine how what's the word? How low? I'm just going to say how low
Yeah.
black. It was sleazy. There was just a bunch of sleaze. I don't want to say it was just a bunch
Well,
of,
what
but
was sleazy?
well, life was in the ghetto.
Oh, because you were
There-
so oppressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
right.
With so few resources,
That's what they did,
without
right.
without training, education, resource, and see what happened with slavery was they stole our economy. We had no economy, and they sucked our value out of us until we realized we thought we had no value,
Right.
and they gave us no value.
Mhm.
So until we get to the point where we establish our own economy in corporations like this,
Yeah.
because the biggest trade deficit in America is between corporate America and Black America.
Right.
Money comes into the Black community and it all goes out.
Right.
We need to be able to bring it in.
Look how
and
hard it is to get
recirculation.
sponsorship for
Talk-
Phoenix,
right? Absolutely.
Even the big hospital,
Yeah,
like you
right.
were saying,
And
is
those are
won't
one of
advertise.
the worst. That's one of
Yeah.
the worst places, and the parameters. All of the different segments of society that healthcare is the poor.
And in
is
2023,
Yeah,
it's hard to believe. it's so
2024,
close.
darling.
2024, yes,
Ooh,
of course.
yeah.
Well, I was sick for a few weeks, so I'm.
But anyway, I just
But so, do you think? So it's interesting in a way that like history will remember Martin Luther King has a holiday, but Malcolm X does not. And also, I've wondered sometimes if perhaps it would be better if the holiday were just for civil rights in general, because so many
well,
other
they could
people
do that. But I believe that Martin Luther King earned every
What was unusual
minute of
about
that
him?
one day.
Like what? How did he earn what was unusual? Because I wasn't
He
alive
started
at
it. He
this
was
time.
there at the marches. He
So
took
do you
on that
think
mantle.
history would have been different if not for him? Do you think someone else would have
Absolutely.
stepped up and filled the role?
Not like
or
him.
Would have been,
Not like him.
yeah.
He had the
just that
credentials. He had the
catalyst kind of
credentials.
thing.
I did it. I said he had the credentials. He had the strength. He had the bravery. He had the education, and what he went to Boston College or something. I don't know where he went, but anyway, Harvard. So anyway,
And actually, to make
excuse me.
these kind of movements work, you have to win over a population that oppresses you to a degree because they have the power.
You have to be able to go toe to toe with him, and he
Yeah,
absolutely did.
yeah,
That's what he had. He had the credentials. He traveled abroad. He spoke to world leaders. He had that stature. He had that core strength and
Yeah.
and that confidence. And you know, we couldn't have done it without him. But you know what? We're over time.
Do you
We're
feel
over-
more confident and like you have more core strength because of him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Absolutely, paved the way.
Great.
Paved the way and justified it. You know, yeah. You know what? You're gonna do nonviolent civil disobedience, and yeah, they might throw you in jail and they might do this, but you know what? It's okay because that's what it takes. Because this is what it looks like.
Well, that's really great. Well, thank you for letting me do this and for talking about Martin Luther King Day.
Thank you
And
for
this
the
is the day-
opportunity.
And you know, your history. You are a leader, a pioneer yourself in civil rights for this area. Still, you know, so I think it's good.
I did pull off
you,
the first nonviolent civil disobedience in Oneida
Well, I
County.
think you'll have to have me
I
back.
walked out my high school.
You'll have to have me back because I'd like to talk about that too. So,
Okay.
Well, I'm back in 2 weeks, so
All right. Okay. All right. Well,
Thank you for listening
Thank you.
tonight. I
Thank
think
you,
I'll
Ron.
do the wrap up here. We're gonna go
Okay,
back
go
to
ahead.
Jay-Z. Thank you for listening to 95.5 FM, The Heat.
Phoenix Radio.
Phoenix Radio.